Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So let's set the scene. It's July 2026. And, if your portfolio app is just looking like an absolute sea of red right now thanks to sticky inflation and slowing growth, well, believe me, you are definitely not alone. But here's the thing. Let's dive right into how disciplined value investors don't just, survive these massive drawdowns, but how they actually use them to reposition their capital and build a literal financial fortress.
How much money am I losing today? I know you've asked it, I've asked it, it's just human nature, right? When the market turns, the absolute biggest threat to your wealth isn't really the macroeconomic environment out there, it's actually your own behavior. Fear just triggers this super powerful urge to sell perfectly good, high-quality assets simply because the price on the screen is flashing red. And look, let's be honest, social media and that 24/7 financial news cycle, they completely amplify this fear. They literally feed on it to create this terrifying illusion that every single dip is the start of some permanent, catastrophic bear market. But constantly reacting to that panic, man, that's a losing game. We've got to change the script.
Because we are seeing this massive divide in the market right now. On one side, you've got the emotional trader. This person is completely at the mercy of something called multiple compression. See, because growth-oriented companies rely so heavily on really optimistic assumptions about the future, whenever uncertainty spikes, investors suddenly demand a higher margin of safety, and those speculative valuations just get compressed hard. So the emotional trader panics and sells right at the absolute bottom. But contrast that with the disciplined wealth builder. This investor totally understands that short-term price fluctuations don't necessarily reflect the actual underlying business. So while the emotional trader sees a complete crisis, the disciplined wealth builder, they see a massive clearance sale on premium world-class businesses. They know these assets are just temporarily mispriced.
To become that disciplined wealth builder, you really have to replace that panicked question of how much am I losing with a much better one. Has the intrinsic value of this business materially changed? So the crucial point is that this psychological pivot is the absolute foundation of defensive investing. We aren't talking about just throwing your hands up and moving your entire portfolio into cash. Doing that practically guarantees you're going to miss the inevitable recovery. Instead, it's all about capital preservation while actually staying invested. It's about stripping away all that noisy market sentiment and just objectively assessing if the fundamental worth of the business has deteriorated. If that core value is still intact, hey, a dropping share price is an invitation, not a warning.
So what does a business that actually survives this environment look like? Well, it really all comes down to defensive moats. During a period of sticky inflation, rising input costs absolutely crush the profit margins of average companies. But businesses with genuine pricing power, they can just seamlessly pass those costs right along to their customers without losing demand. In fact, if we look historically, companies that demonstrate top-tier pricing power are over 60% more likely to survive periods of stagflation without having to cut their dividends. And why is that? It's because they hold recognizable brands, mission-critical products, and recurring revenue models that customers literally cannot abandon. These economic moats act like an impenetrable shield, stabilizing their earnings while all their weaker competitors are just scrambling.
Let's actually look at how this plays out fundamentally. Picture this. You've got two competing companies right now. Company A is highly leveraged, just absolutely suffocating under today's elevated interest rates. Their interest expenses are soaring through the roof. Refinancing risk is like a daily terror for them, and profitability is just tanking. They're totally paralyzed. But meanwhile, Company B, their competitor, is cash rich. Because they aren't being choked to death by debt payments, they have the ultimate financial flexibility. So while that highly leveraged company is fighting just to survive the week, the conservative, low debt-to-equity company is using this exact same environment to aggressively repurchase their own shares at a discount, maintain their dividends, and even acquire struggling competitors to basically buy up market share. It's wild to see.
There's a great saying, free cash flow reveals the actual cash a company generates after maintaining its operations. And honestly, this is the undeniable truth of a business. In a liquidity crunch like the one we're seeing in 2026, those creative accounting profits, they really don't matter. You can't exactly pay down your debt with depreciated goodwill, right? Free cash flow is the only metric that matters right now. It reveals the actual, cold, hard cash a company pulls in after paying to keep the lights on. It is the raw fuel that allows a company to organically fund expansions without having to borrow at exorbitant interest rates. And, most importantly, it's what sustains those crucial dividends right through the teeth of a recession.
And speaking of dividends, think of dividend reinvestment not just as extra income, but as a built-in automatic volatility buffer. We call it the compounding effect. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it frames the math behind it. When the market goes into a correction and share prices drop, a lot of folks just panic. But if you're holding a really strong dividend-paying company, that exact same cash distribution you receive is now automatically purchasing more shares simply because the stock is on sale. You are mathematically accumulating a much larger ownership stake in a premium business at these discounted valuations, and you aren't even lifting a finger. Then when the market inevitably recovers, you're holding a significantly larger position, which completely turbocharges your total returns.
But honestly, dividends do something that's arguably even more important than the math. They protect your mindset. Look, companies with long, reliable histories of growing their dividends haven't just had, a couple of lucky quarters. They have survived brutal recessions. They've survived massive inflation cycles, sudden interest rate shocks, credit crises, full-blown market crashes, you name it. Holding companies with that kind of battle-tested pedigree completely changes how you perceive market volatility. When you know you're receiving a steady, growing stream of cash every single quarter, regardless of what the stock price happens to be doing on a random Tuesday afternoon, man, it provides this incredible psychological anchor. It gives you the real confidence you need to ride out turbulent economic cycles.
But finding these resilient companies means we have to stop looking at what everyone else is looking at. When multiple compression hits those flashy growth stocks, sky-high price-to-earnings ratios become totally useless. In a correction, the market demands present-day reality. You've got to pivot to alternative valuation metrics. Think about using EV to EBITDA to gauge raw operational value, or maybe free cash flow yield to see the actual cash return on your investment. Checking out the return on invested capital reveals exactly how efficiently the management team is generating wealth right now. These are the practical tools you absolutely must use to uncover actual tangible value when all the market panic is obscuring it.
And applying those specific metrics brings us to the absolute holy grail of value investing, the margin of safety. The crucial difference between a company's market price and its estimated intrinsic value isn't just some dry academic financial concept. Actually, scratch that. It's more like your portfolio's ultimate shock absorber against the specific macro risks we're facing in 2026. By insisting on a wide margin of safety, you're creating a built-in buffer for yourself. If the company has a slight earnings disappointment, or if some sudden, unexpected macroeconomic event hits the tape, this buffer protects your capital from devastating losses. It is, for sure, the definitive risk management tool.
So where exactly do we hunt for this margin of safety during a correction? Well, we look toward traditional defensive sectors, places like utilities, consumer staples, healthcare, insurance, and essential infrastructure. Because their earnings remain remarkably stable regardless of whatever the broader economy is doing, they traditionally outperform when the rest of the market is bleeding. But here's the trick right now. It isn't just about blindly piling into utilities or staples just because they have a defensive label slapped on them. No, it's about actively analyzing these historically safe sectors to find where the broader market panic has created an irrational discount. That's the sweet spot. That is where the margin of safety really lives.
Okay, let's dive into this actionable playbook. Here is a systematic 5-step framework to completely remove panic from your equation. First up, objectively review your current allocations and trim the fat where valuations are still stretched and the fundamentals no longer justify the price tag. Then, seamlessly redirect those proceeds into the undervalued, financially resilient companies we've been talking about. While you do this, you definitely want to maintain strict diversification so you're spreading the risk across multiple defensive sectors. And finally, stop staring at the daily stock charts. Just stop. Start continuously monitoring the underlying business fundamentals instead. As you deploy that capital, remember that your methodology is absolutely everything. Trying to lump sum guess the exact market bottom right now, it's literally like trying to catch a falling knife while blindfolded. It carries massive timing risk and causes just immense emotional stress if you end up being wrong by even a few days. Instead, rely on gradual deployment to enforce some discipline. By systematically dollar-cost averaging over several months, you completely remove the need to predict the future, and you strip out the emotional stress of trying to perfectly time the market. Because if the market just keeps dropping, hey, you're automatically accumulating shares at even better prices. Ultimately, guys, successful investing is not, and honestly has never been, about miraculously sidestepping every single market correction. It is about actively building a portfolio that is actually capable of enduring them. By prioritizing financially strong businesses with sustainable dividend growth, conservative leverage, durable competitive advantages, and consistent free cash flow, you transition from just playing defense to actively constructing a real financial fortress. Remember, market corrections are always temporary, but high-quality businesses, they endure. By doing the rigorous work right now, you position yourself to powerfully compound your wealth for decades to come. Which leaves us with one final vital question to close out this explainer. Will you let fear dictate your choices, or will discipline build your future? Every single market correction basically forces you down one of two paths.
You can react to the red on your screen, sell your quality assets in an absolute panic, and let short-term volatility ruin your long-term goals. Or you can embrace discipline. You can use fundamental analysis, demand a margin of safety, and systematically seize the incredible opportunities that are hidden right inside this market correction. The choice is absolutely yours. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this strategy. Now go out there and build that resilient future.